It's 6 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. Please rise. Linda, if you give us the invocation, please.
Yes. If you'll please bow your head, I will pray for us. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all those who have gathered here, Lord, to celebrate our students' accomplishments and especially graduation. I just thank you, Lord, that our students stick to it and they don't quit until they finish their job. It's a blessing to be associated with students like that. And Lord, I just pray that you bless these families that are here tonight. And Lord, just help us to always remember that you can guide us and you can help us be successful if we trust you. I pray, Lord, that we would be wise tonight in our decisions, that we would keep students' needs first, and that we would make good choices, that we would be agreeable even when we don't agree. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. You may be seated. Our first item of business is to look over the approval of the minutes of last month's meeting. Everybody's had a chance to look at those. I entertain a motion and waive the reading of them.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes without reading them out loud.
I'll second.
Motion by Linda, second by Ray. All's in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Recognitions?
Tonight we do have a few recognitions that are our 226 award, Columbia, Missouri Independent School District. It's exactly 225 square miles. So the 226 award goes to our kids and our students and our faculty that do a little bit more than what's required and bring recognition to us. So first off, I want to recognize our high school principal, Mr. Jeff Kinney. I think we have a summer graduate. Is that correct?
We have a summer graduate. Ms. Bailey is actually going to be the one that introduces her and gives a little bit of the background.
So if I could get the board to stand up and come in front, and so when we get some time we can do that, we can hand it you up to the diploma, Mr. Kinney. Okay, if you give that to Mr. Champagne.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Ms. Bailey.
So tonight we have a young lady who has worked really hard and completed her last graduation requirement in July, and she's actually an early graduate, so she's graduating a year early. And her plan is to go to Brazos College after graduation. So it's my pleasure to introduce Jennifer Garcia.
All right.
Stone? Stone? Got it? Okay, hold on.
No, I'm holding it.
When you get there, sweetheart, if you turn and look, we're going to take a picture for you. Congratulations. Let me turn your tassel for you. We'll make it official. All right? All right.
We just want to say congratulations and we're proud of you for working so hard and finishing early. And you go forth and do good. We're proud.
Okay, you want to bring them up, take a picture? Okay. You want to come up, take a
With your
picture?
family.
Let that family come up. Mr. Kenny, you want to get the picture? We'll take a group picture. Come Stone's gonna get it. Okay.
Jennifer, babe, come stand right. Jennifer, here, I'll get out.
Where do you want me to
Get over there, man.
All right, everybody. Great job.
Good. Bailey, would you make sure that we get, that Ms. Stowe gets contact information? So we
Yes,
can
sir.
make sure they get
Yes,
those
sir.
pictures. Okay.
Would you like a piece? Like a piece? If they say you can, you can have a piece. Is that what you want? Good deal. Congratulations, please.
Wanna stay here?
Okay.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right, next up,
Michael, come here.
well, next up, I think Mr. Kenny was going to introduce someone. Mr. Miller, would you like to introduce Ms. Lambert?
Ms. Lambert, would you like to come up and present the award to the FFA?
So I think we've got quite a big list here, so it might take a little bit.
Yes.
So everybody settle in.
Need any help?
All right. So good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for allowing us to be here with you tonight. My name is Jessica Lambert, and this is one of my teaching partners, Mr. Christian Medill. We're here on behalf of the Columbia-Brazoria FFA chapter. Tonight, we are recognizing 2 state qualifying groups from the Columbia-Brazoria FFA chapter. We will begin with our state FFA degree, or otherwise known as our Lone Star degree recipients. The Lone Star FFA degree recognizes FFA members who have completed their chapter degree, been active FFA members for at least 2.5 years, completed at least 4 semesters of agricultural science at or above the 9th grade level, maintained a supervised agricultural experience program, demonstrated their leadership skills, and have shown a commitment to the FFA through involvement at the chapter level and above. Out of over 169,000 FFA members statewide, these members were just a few of the 2,200 FFA members to receive this esteemed degree, and it is our honor to recognize them tonight. Our first recipient we'd like to recognize is Mr. Clayton Bowen. He receives this award based on his merit for work in commercial heifers, ag mechanics projects, and agri-science fair competitions. Next up is Amberly Cardwell. Lone Star degree with her projects in agricultural education and breeding beef heifers. Next up, we have Bradford Irwin. He received his work with commercial heifers, agricultural mechanics projects, and agri-science fair competitions. And finally, we have Madeline Reed. Her SAE is a little different. Hers includes working as a paid job placement in agricultural business. All right.
Just take this for a picture.
Yes.
Any other comments, small pictures?
All right, thank you, guys. At this time, I'd also like one other teacher to come forward and help us present these. Miss Ashley Harriman is with us tonight. While she's no longer with the ag department, she's worked with every single one of the kids that we're about to introduce, and so I'd like her to help us, please. All right, so at this time, I'd like us to acknowledge our second group for the evening. Back in 2013, the CBFFA shooting sports team was established, with Evan Spencer and John Cole being the first 2 inaugural team members. Mr. Larry Cole and eventually Mrs. Ashley Harriman were both extremely instrumental in the creation, development, and promotion of this team. Many students have been successful in their shooting sports endeavors, including some participating on collegiate level shooting sports teams. Fast forward to today, and the Columbia-Brazoria FFA accomplished what only few chapters have aspired to obtain, much less actually achieve. Tonight, I present to you the individuals who competed and brought home banners in all 6 qualifying team events. In order to place and receive a banner at the state FFA shoot, a team must place collectively in the top 5 in their category, and CBFFA Shooting Sports accomplished that this summer in all 6 teams. It is my honor to present them to you tonight. So if I could have the entire shooting sports team, please come forward. I'm going to stand to the side so we can kind of acknowledge who all did what. All right, so guys, when I call your name, if you will, just raise your hand so that way everybody knows who exactly we're talking about. So we're going to start off. The first time this has ever happened for Columbia-Brazoria ISD, we have the state champion winning ladies trap team consisting of Olivia Weingart, Sydney Sorensen, Jenna Ringgold, and Madeline Reed. Next up, we have our third place at state all-male trap team, which consists of Connor Gocher, Caleb Parton, Reese Hardwick, and Bradford Irwin. Next, we have our fourth place all-male sporting clay team, which consists of Connor Gocher, Caleb Parton, Reese Hardwick, and Bradford Irwin. Next, we have our fourth place mixed gender trap team, which consists of Madeline Reed, Bradford Irwin, Reese Hardwick, and Connor Gocher. Next, we have our fifth place mixed team sporting clays, which consists of Madeline Reed, Bradford Irwin, Reese Hardwick, and Connor Gocher. Finally, in the team division, we have our fifth place ladies sporting clays team, which consists of Olivia Weingart, Sydney Sorensen, Jenna Ringgold, and Madeline Reed. Individual standpoint, we would also like to recognize Connor Gocher as the second place high point overall male and the fourth place overall male in sporting clays. Jenna Ringgold was the sixth place high point individual in sporting clays, and Jenna Ringgold and Madeline Reed were in a four-way tie for 6th place through 10th place in trap. Jenna Ringgold was also the fifth place high point overall female. Other team members that competed individually and contributed to the overall success of the team include Haley Thurber, Ryan Wright, Clayton Bowen, Caden Davis, Kaya Muirhide, Brody Gann, and Kobe Ringgold. Take the picture. All right, so let's see all your banners. Yeah, we're gonna have to spread them out. Spread them around. Pass them out. Oh, you don't want to.
There's two notices to smell in the
It's okay. Yeah, the guys have all things. There we go. Sit down. Wait, no, go back.
Oh, we need to crouch and
No, you don't have to scoot together, not
scoot
spread out.
together. Some squat in the front. There we go. There we go.
There it is.
Good job. All right, ready? What's that state champion up there? Everybody look. Okay. Yeah. They will. They will. Yes, absolutely. Thank y'all so much for allowing us to come visit with you guys tonight. Once again, thank y'all so much for all of the support you have for our kiddos and our program. We do appreciate it.
Before y'all leave, is there someone that can speak to the upcoming fundraiser, the alumni fundraiser?
Absolutely, yes. So our Columbia-Brazoria FFA alumni is also hosting a fundraiser on August 26th. It is a fish and shrimp dinner, dancing, live auction, silent auction.
I say that quietly. But if you would like any information regarding the fundraiser, you can definitely follow the alumni on Facebook. I can also get contact information for our alumni president and vice president, as well as our treasurer. They also have tickets. Tickets are being sold online. Tickets are also being sold at Turquoise Saddle, or you can see any of the alumni members to purchase a ticket. Okay? And all of that money goes directly back to our students in the forms of collegiate scholarships, project scholarships, and different things like that. So thank y'all so very much. All right.
Thank y'all so much for being here. If you're looking for a time to get out, now's the time.
Congratulations. Thank you. Yes.
Now the work starts.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How are you?
Go ahead. You can go, Maddie. I have your stuff here.
Never seen Rich like Rich it, man.
Very, very good. That's really
Also, if you want to, you can just skip it.
Just to be sure we don't have any citizens be heard tonight, did anybody sign up?
Larry, you gonna talk?
Larry, you speaking tonight?
Can I say one thing?
Well, of course.
Dear Mr. Miller, can you believe that this just happened?
So there's a long story that goes with that. So when Larry first came to me about starting a shooting team, I said, absolutely not. We're not bringing guns on campus. I was the principal at the time. He goes, well, can we talk? Sure. When he was done, let's do it.
Larry, appreciate it, Larry.
It's impressive tonight. We're going to kind of go out of order here a little bit. So we have some people that traveled down. So we're going to go down to the action item number 5 to approve the bond 2022 early bid package number 2.
All right, so we got the group here. Virgil, you're going to take the lead.
Yeah, I want to sort out.
Okay.
Come on.
Surprise, surprise, right? Get ready, get ready.
Yes, sir.
This is our letter of recommendation with full GMP attached to that. Yeah, plenty. Thank you.
All right.
All right, Virgil, the floor is yours.
All right. I want to start off tonight by saying that I and members of the PK team attended a bid opening for GMP2 at Jamala's office last week, and everything really went smooth, well, and the bids just kind of cut into the chase. We're about $81,000 below the estimate that we had for that portion of the work. And I want to remind everybody that we have about 670-something thousand of contingencies in that low number. So we're really in good shape. Contingencies are included in that. It also includes $586,000 of Jamala self-performed work with the company of Basic, I think you'll call it. That was submitted the day before, so they wouldn't get a peek at what the other bids were going to be. And so we all acknowledge that, I think, members of the team receiving that. And so that was reviewed. And so we're right on schedule, and I recommend the approval of GMP2. On the handout I gave you, it's just kind of an update of the form that we had last time. And as you can see, going to the bottom line, our variance number has gone up some, but we're still well within our budget in terms of what we're looking to do. So at this point, I will be receiving a bid analysis report from Jamala on this that'll go through every bid, who bid, what they bid, and why Jamala chose them as the low bidder for that particular item. And so I'll have that for our records. It's just to make sure that everything is done appropriately, which it was. I think that's really all I have. If there are any questions, we got Russ here to.
I'll just throw one at you, team, the contingency piece of it, y'all feel that's adequate?
Yes, sir. Yes, yeah. And that's contained in this GMP2. There's also some contingency still in GMP1.
Right.
And there'll be contingency in the left there.
In the construction piece of it.
So we're really in good shape on all of this as we go forward. As you can see, the fence is going up outside, so we're ready to go. The schedule that we passed out at the last session, we're still on schedule. I think we agreed at the last meeting that y'all were going to start just a little bit right away, as in today.
Yeah, they're putting the fence up. Now, there won't be a lot of activity for a few days. We have to get the state notice and wait 10 days before you start abatement and demo. That's the law. So
Right.
We'll send that note. If you guys approve this tonight, we'll send that notice tomorrow. There'll be a little bit of activity if some guys come to look at this and that, but it won't be gangbusters the first few days.
The other item is that we're moving toward the 75% estimate on the drawings. And
Next Friday.
Next Friday. And so we'll continue to move along on that. I don't think there's any other schedule changes, were there?
No.
So the schedule we had last time was still on track.
Still solid.
Yeah.
Still solid.
So if I can remember right, just for the, especially Mr. Kenny, we're talking 10 days to file paperwork, right, to let that go. We talked about maybe 2 weeks remediation process along those
There
lines.
might be a little more. There's a few more things, when we got that report.
Right. So, and then after that, then.
Demo and.
But I would assume during that time, we're going to see machinery show up,
Yeah.
trailers and that kind of, so there'll be activity.
And, what's primary is we got to get going on that HVAC underground, get it moved, create that new entry, those kind of things.
Correct.
So that we can tear those buildings.
Right. Okay.
So you guys price it again at 75%?
Yes, it's being priced right now, and then once we get their numbers in, we'll schedule a review meeting. Our 95% set will come out at the end of this month, and so we'll go through the same process then as well.
Okay, so do we have, and I don't have it in front of me, do we have a date that we were going to release for the package 3 other construction?
Yes, that'll be at the
October-ish?
beginning of October. It should be the first week in October.
Okay.
We issue 100%.
Okay.
That's when you put it, phase 2 out for bids?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Do you anticipate that would be back before our board meeting, or would that be something we'd probably look at in November?
It would
Or
probably,
later, or when?
we're taking 3 weeks for bids, right, Rusty? So, yeah, that'll be the 3rd week in October, 4th week in October.
I thought we talked about like a November 8th special meeting or something like that.
So we'll get the GMP, we'll get bids in on October 25th, and then we had bringing the GMP to the board on the 10th of November.
Yeah, so 10th of November, we're looking at a special meeting, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I remember that's the largest piece too.
Yeah, it's going to take a while to consolidate that. Yeah, exactly.
But if I remember the timeline, that piece isn't starting for a year from now or something like that, right?
No.
No, it starts immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the construction, that's the 2-year project that includes all the construction of all the buildings.
Okay,
Oh, we need to
demolition
start-
is just tearing everything down, then that starts, that's right.
November 15th, we need to get going on the.
Right, exactly. So you
Well,
get
that
that.
building's out of the way, so and the pad in, so we get going on concrete work.
Correct. Okay.
So phase 3 includes the underground and everything else?
Yeah, phase 3 is the rest of the project.
Okay.
Everything.
I don't have my, didn't bring my notes tonight with all the different plans. We gave you estimates, so.
And this scope was mostly just mobilization stuff?
This is abatement, demolition, earthwork, and partial site utility. And, you know, a lot of temporary, you know, moving the chill water lines.
Yeah. But also
Creating entry,
trailer setup, all that stuff.
all those kind of things are all in here.
And we'll actually get our pre-con scheduled in the next couple of weeks, so we'll start having construction meetings shortly.
So based off the original estimates y'all gave us that had the contingencies in there, have any of those contingencies gone down through this process?
The design contingency, you know, it goes to zero when we get to GMP. Our owner contingency and construction manager contingency, we continue that constant
It has not
all the way through.
touched.
We do not reduce those.
No, those have not been touched.
Yes.
Okay. So when I look at phase 2, the DD estimate was 8.9, the 50% estimate, which I guess went off 8.9, and then the bid came in at 7.4?
Yes.
Or did y'all estimate 7.4 and you hit
It
exactly
was,
on the
the estimate was 7,495,570, and then the bids were actually at 7,414, about 81,000, so different.
On the 50% column you're looking at,
Yeah.
Virgil plugged in the actual
Change that,
GMP.
the actual cost.
The budget on that was $7,495,000, as I recall, was the estimate. That's where he got his 81,000 delta.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out, too.
No, he plugged in the actual.
We plugged in the actual, it's kind of a live form, so plugged in that,
And so currently, phase 3, you're estimated at the 55,976,629.
Yes.
For the 50%, but when we get our 75%.
But as we've come through, I think some things shifted from phase 2 to 1.
They did. Some
Three,
scope
right?
change.
Some of the things moved.
That's why
I'm just saying, I just want to be sure that was not just a subtraction of number, that's what you actually think the estimate is at this point.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. What you think, Matt? I was going to say fire him. What? Come on, man.
We're just getting started.
I thought we were friends.
Comments, questions? I make a motion, we approve the early bid package number 2 for phase 2.
Second.
Second by Matt, all in favor? Any opposed? Carries.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you. Before y'all leave though, there's some things we need to do. Number one, we need to have some type of formal kickoff, right? We don't need the gold shovels and all that, but we do have the cornerstone that sits on the corner of D building here. And so we would like to, that's going to kind of be our kickoff. Supposedly there's a time capsule from 1962 that's behind it. Nobody's seen it, but people, I had someone visit me this week that said that's all my grandpa tells me. Told me when he was still alive about what's in it and that kind of stuff. And so, anyway, that'd be cool. So we need to arrange that. The Masons, they are going to cut it out, take it out, store it, and do that. But we do have some other things like, some of the original bricks from the building people would like, right? Maybe some wood floor. And so I know I'm working with Justin to I just want to make sure y'all know what we're talking about. We don't want to get in your way, do anything, but there are some things we need to do along those lines. So, but we do want to establish a kickoff, and we probably want to do it as close to the time you're mobilized, right? We don't want to get in your way with remediation or any of that kind of stuff. So we could have some conversations in the next few days about the dates and times.
Yeah, I'll talk with Justin, or I'll get Brian to talk with Justin.
Perfect. Yeah, just kind of, if you could give us maybe some, like a blackout dates when we can't do it, we don't want to get in your way, but we do want to schedule something where we can invite the people that have helped us get to this point in the community.
Okay. Yeah, we'll coordinate on it. We will need to do it pretty quick, because when they get that notice, they'll want to come.
Right. Well, that's what I was getting. I was thinking in the next 2 weeks, right, before you
In the
actually
next
do
few
it.
days. Next week is on, either into this week.
You might do it this week before it rains next week.
That'll make it rain. Let's do it. I'm starting to feed already.
Good deal. Outstanding. Well, we'll get with you and we'll look forward to that conversation.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Which one of those guys don't like you that made you wear a suit and a tie tonight? This is a casual meeting. They told you you had to dress up for face.
Well, I'm trying to do what my mama told me. Boy, you ain't got much to work with, but try to
You
look
look
nice.
good. I'm just saying, you don't have to do that for us, but you look good.
I've seen Rusty wear a tie maybe 5 times. This
You
is
look like a
special.
tie guy to me.
This is special.
All right, thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Y'all be
Appreciate what
safe.
you're doing for us.
Appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Rusty.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Good to see you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
As always, Bert.
You do look good in the tie, Rusty. Start wearing it.
Mr. Bailey, good to see you.
Same to
Jonathan
you.
as well. Thank y'all so much.
Be safe.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Now we go back to reports. We'll jump up to Justin in maintenance. Oh, my turn on that. Please already stand up ready. He was so excited.
It's mentioned, kind of stole my thunder there, going on behind the scenes, moving it to some of us folks and section everything off so we can set up in a way that still allows construction, but yet keeps staff and kids out of the area of construction, kind of circumvent any kind of wandering legs that get in the wrong spot. Aside from that, continuing to go, just trying to gear up, get ready for tomorrow. We all know how hectic it's going to be. It always is the first couple of days. There is something I want to bring to your attention right quick. Considering the heat that we've had pretty taxed on air conditioners. They're breaking down left and right, and we're working tirelessly to try to keep these buildings cool. Over the past couple of weeks, we've had a couple of catastrophic failures with some ACs here at the high school, just due to age and condition of equipment, and parts are not available, or it costs more to fix than what it would be to replace. So with that being said, I've reached out, called everybody that I can think of, trying to find out who's got equipment. Long story short, we have partnered again with E3, which is the folks that set us up with the chillers. They were able to locate some. Because of the cost of it being over the $50,000, we'll in the future bring you a formal proposal just so you to approve off on. But for the time being, if y'all want to kind of give a little blessing on it, I can tell you it's going to be $63 grand. We'll get both of those pieces of equipment, crane, logistics, everything in, on a rush to get them here and get these units replaced.
Where are they at? I mean, we changed this out last year.
There's some rooftop.
Rooftops?
Yeah, just some isolated areas, one being the choir room, which we're going to be using for instruction, as well as the old F-wing office area. Part of that is going to be used for instruction and housing, the kids. So we've got to get those things up and running, because right now it's DOA. There's no air conditioning, it's stifling in there. So.
And what broke, chillers?
No, rooftop packages.
This is packages?
Yes. Compressor failure, coil failure, combinations. So, anyway, I've already discussed that with them. They can have those here. They've got to get curb adapters and a few other things together and mobilization, but that should be able to take place probably the end of next week, early part of the following. But we will get you guys a proposal just so you can approve off on it because of the cost associated. You have to get board approval. So that will be coming, but short story, I've got this coming because we've got to have them. We can't take that black eye.
Need to do that tonight or with a special meeting?
No, it'll be fine. But I mean, it just has to be, the expense has to be board approved. So technically, before we write a check for it, right? The PO is just encumbering the money for budgetary purposes. What that next meeting will be here, we'll be able to.
I mean, theoretically, they can take it out of the general budget that we have from capital, and then we make an amendment to reimburse that back or whatever. I would think.
Yeah, we'll be fine. Yeah, budget wise, we'll go.
Yeah.
Did you catch that? Thank you.
We'll make it work.
So are we changing excuse me, my ignorance, but at my house, I have an outside thing, I have something inside. Is this the same type of situation where you're changing everything or just the stuff that's on the roof?
Yeah, it is.
Or is that all there is to change?
Right, it's, if you want to compare it into a residential, you have your inside in the attic or in the hallway, and you've got your outside unit. This is all combined into one unit that's.
Everything's together, so it's the whole system that we're
Right.
changing.
So basically, it's everything but,
Okay,
everything but the ductwork.
okay,
So
okay.
it just, it's.
I was hoping we was changing everything because all is the same age, so if this piece goes out, the other piece could probably get into too.
No, I couldn't piecemeal it like that. That just
Yeah,
would
no.
not be advantageous to us.
Okay, cool. And are you able to get the same brand that we've got for other stuff, or is it?
No, one of them will be a York, and I believe he said the other one was a Carrier.
Okay.
But
You're comfortable with both?
yeah, I'm fine with it. At this point, beggars can't be choosers. We've got to get whatever we can get, what's available, because y'all know the lead time that we're fighting with mechanical.
And Marcus is good with both of those.
Yes, yes. So he and I've discussed it, so he's fine with it. They're pretty generic.
I assume those are ones that was put on when we did the bond thing back several years ago. They're probably 15 years old.
If not older. I know one of them for sure is almost 23 years old, so we've got our money's worth out of that. The other one is near 18.
So I was saying I'll never change.
So, that would have been from the 98 one.
Yeah. Cool, okay.
Other than that, open any comments, concerns, questions that you may have.
So, only thing I want to add is that Justin and technology, we've had discussions, actually had some suggestions from our staff to put a couple of cameras on C building that focus one out towards the gym and the student parking lot and one towards the courtyard, so that we can take time-lapse photography, pictures over the next couple of years of what's happening. But also we want to, the idea is to be able to try to put a link on our on our website of where if anybody wants to log in and actually see, up to date what's going on, that would be a pretty neat thing to do.
That doesn't affect us if a student walks by.
Well, there'll be no students in the courtyard. It won't show.
Okay.
Right? It'll only be the progress of what's going on.
Any progress or update on Wild Peach and our canopy and that? And I thought we talked last time, maybe timeframes or.
We did. I don't have any hard dates, but we're looking for the week of Thanksgiving, maybe the week leading up to, go ahead and start getting some stuff and redirecting traffic, and we'll work with Ms. McCarthy on that when the time comes. That way, over the course of the Thanksgiving break, they can finalize everything, come back from it, and we're ready to go. But that's just a tentative schedule at this point. We're still waiting on materials, so he can't give me a hard date just yet.
So hopefully by the second semester should be.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
And so,
I'm pretty confident you said yes.
and Justin, I haven't been able to catch up with you, but I did, as I was making my rounds and doing some meetings at the campuses and at Ms. McCarthy's campus, some of the staff made some suggestions as far as security fencing in the front that we'll talk about. It's not, we've talked about it, but we haven't put a price tag on that.
Okay.
But kind of imagine kind of like what we did at the junior high, right there in the front, kind of doing the same thing at Wild Peach as well. So the kids can go from the main building to the gym in the front and actually be behind the fenced area.
Okay.
Much like they transition into junior high from
If it's
sixth grade.
guidelines and there's money left over from the
Yeah.
grant, we could use that money to
Right.
spend on that. It's gonna be,
So anyway,
it's gonna be like that or 8 foot. Yeah.
but that'll be easy to add. I mean, we got several minutes.
Maybe one day this week we
That'll be simple. And so, but I do want to add that to that scope of the project.
Okay. Yeah, one day this week we'll have a powwow about it.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Gotcha.
Keep them running in this hot weather. I know it's tough, man.
I'm trying, man. It's an uphill battle. Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you, sir.
Now, most of my reports I look at, safety and security is the last one, but we moved it up to number 2 this month.
I'm long today. I'm gonna try to speed. Got a lot of material today. So the first thing I'd like to do is complete the security audit for the 3-year cycle. Last campus we have left is Barrow. So I'll go through this quickly and if you have any questions. So first of all, thank you to Ms. Cohey and Ms. Galloway and the nurse and the counselors. and the office people over there, they did, Chief and Justin, they did an awesome job in completing all the safety audits on every campus. So we did the safety review of Barrow on June 28th. We had our entrance conference, present at the conference were the principal, the assistant principal, the campus chief of police, the director of maintenance, assistant superintendent, the nurse counselors, receptionist, secretary, and child nutrition director completed questionnaires regarding campus safety in their departments. Some things that came out of this, I always start the meeting by asking these questions. What is the most pressing safety need in your school? The answer to that question at Barrow was exterior doors, making sure doors are working appropriately at all times. Daily door checks and timely maintenance repairs and staff training have helped solve that problem, but there's a lot of exterior doors, people coming and going and making sure that they're locked and they stay locked is a problem. Communication was another huge issue. We have an issue with the bullhorns down there, being able to communicate to children out on the playground and teachers out on the playground. We need to get that fixed. We had a quote on that last year, and it was roughly 15 grand. So that's another thing we really need to get on. And then, of course, even though the campus is fenced, it doesn't keep kids from getting out of it. It doesn't keep people from coming into it. And that is a concern. Since it's next to a busy highway intersection, it's busy. That's one of their things that they worry about. What school safety activities does your school do best? Door checks, drills, safety training for all personnel, and that was kind of, the staff spoke to that in their survey as well, as far as the safety training and the things that they do to try to make sure that all the people on campus are safe. One thing that they talked about that some of the other campuses didn't talk about was the fact that they used their after drill debriefs, meaning they have a drill, and all the campuses will have a drill, then they sit down and talk about things that they can do better the next time, try to solve the problems of the drill. But they really brought that out as far as how they incorporate that into their future trainings with their staff and procedures to make things better, which I thought was really good. Topics that are most important for training and staff development was de-escalation, and then scenario type drills. That's kind of been popular amongst all campuses. You know, the typical fire drill, set the fire alarm off, exit, announcement, you know, lockdown. You know, the problem is when you're doing it while you're on the playground, or you're doing it while you're transitioning during lunches, those types of things is what they're talking about there. The biggest barriers to improve school safety measures are the number of exterior doors. Of course, funding is always an issue. There's always things that need to be done, but just sometimes not enough money to do it. Location of campus next to busy highway intersection, and the fact that students are crossing the highway in order to get home. So those were the opening questions. As far as the campus demographics, you all know the demographics of Barrow. I won't really get into that, but the things that they're required to have, the emergency operation plan was available on the Google Drive. It was reviewed and updated yearly. Their policy and procedures are derived from that document, and their trainings are developed from that as well. The evacuation plan was posted in there, and they had evacuation routes for drills posted in their classrooms. They were able to provide documentation of all drills that were required by the state. The floor plans can be found in the principal's office, as well as they've been shared with all the emergency responders in the area. So the police department and the fire department have copies and keys, as well as there being Knox boxes on the exterior of the main doors for emergency responders to be able to get keys as well. Also, Brazoria PD has access to our cameras on every campus, every local PD. That's something that really hadn't come out, but that is the case. WCPD has access to the cameras on this side. Barrow has access to the cameras on the other. I mean, Brazoria PD has access to the cameras on the other. Their site plan was up to date. Doors and cameras were recently numbered. The numbers now meet the safety standard requirements, meaning vinyl and reflective. The aerial photograph is several years old. It does need to be replaced. Student code of conduct, it goes to the board in August. They had one in place. We'll fix it to approve the next one, hopefully. Staff ID policy. Staff are required to wear. Students are not, although most students do have them because they're required in order for them to ride transportation. The visitor policy is posted front office staff are aware of procedures. Let's see here. The safety of staff, students, and parents were provided with opportunities to complete surveys. Getting into that, the survey information was kind of interesting. 47 staff members responded from Barrow. One of the things that they were asked is, what are your safety training requests? What do you want? And the things that they ask for are many of the things that are already provided, but they want more. And that's meaning active shooter, mental health training, de-escalation, evacuation site training, meaning reunification, which is hard to simulate, skill training for specific roles in emergency management, staff training. That one of the questions they ask them, what have you been provided? These are the things that you hear amongst all the campuses, and you also heard it from Barrow. CPI, the proper way to de-escalate and contain children. CPR, stop the bleed, AED use, standard response protocols, which is our things that we do in the event of an emergency. Suicide prevention, bullying, cyberbullying, reporting child abuse, and all required safety trainings as required by the state of Texas. What communication methods are available to you in the event of emergency? Classroom telephones, laptops, emails, and cell phones. All classroom phones are capable of dialing 911. Campus does have silent panic alert technology through the phones currently, meaning as soon as someone's called, an administrator and the police officer and myself and Mr. Galloway are notified when and where that phone call took place from, specifically to the classroom. Okay. Parent comments, a little bit disappointing. Barrow got last place in this regard. Only 10 parents responded to the safety climate survey. So we were kind of a little bit, there wasn't a lot of information there. So 90% of parents feel that 90% of parents feel that Barrow takes care of the school grounds and keeps the building clean. 20% of parents feel that they are always included in decision-making, and 60% sometimes are included in decision-making at Barrow. 50% of the parents feel that teachers at BE treat their children with dignity and respect, and 50% of parents sometimes feel that their teachers treat them with respect. 60% of parents feel that their students are always celebrated for doing a good job. 70% of parents feel that their students always feel safe at school. 70% of parents feel that they can always get help from Barrow in an event of emergency. 54% of parents feel that students who are different are always respected at Barrow, and 40% of parents think that their child has been bullied at least one time while at Barrow. So one of the questions we asked the parents is, what can we do to make Barrow safer? The number one response was do a better job communicating safety with parents, specifically, what do you do? How do you do it? Those types of things. Bullying is a problem and needs to be met with more consistent and severe consequences. Again, bullying, more security, need to have security guards on campus, have gated entrances, and a guard checking who comes and goes to and from campus at all time, and then shatter-resistant glass on buildings. Some commendations for the campus is diligence in completing drills and exterior door checks in a timely manner. They did pass their TEA intruder site visit this year. Update of campus maps, and their site maps were done in a timely manner. Their grounds are great and clean, as well as their classrooms. You can walk around and you can see positive relations between students, teachers, and administrators. And they have a strong collaboration between there's strong collaboration between Barrow and community stakeholders, particularly the first responders. They're very, very dialed into Barrow Elementary, especially when you come to a safety and security committee meeting. They're really dialed into what goes on down there. Recommendations, we need an updated campus aerial photo, just simply because the other one, I was principal when we had those done years ago. They're about 10 years old, so it just needs to be done. Shatter-resistant film to be to meet the guidelines of the school safety standards of the grants. Numbering of exterior doors, that's already been done. Actually, they can take that off because annual training for front office staff in regards to threatening phone calls. That's always a thing. What do you do when you get a threatening phone call? That's every campus. Removal of objects, at every campus also, they have things hanging from the ceiling and that don't meet fire code. Every campus, because teachers like to decorate the classroom. And then the big one is replacement of the exterior. That is the safety.
Your voice lowers when you say those things.
Any questions about the safety audit for Barrow?
So Barry, you talked about the blowhorn communication. What is that?
Just like when you go out here, the horns that are mounted on the exterior.
So when they in the officer talk, they
can hear
like a PA system.
Like a PA system, right. So we need to get those fixed. And I believe that quote I told you earlier, there was also some at West Brazos is correct, that needed to be repaired too.
And as far as aerial photos,
drones, we just take,
what is the purpose of that? So if first responders come, you can look and see.
Right. It's just another visual that you can give. We give to the first responders in case, they get there before any of our people, then they have to create an incident command center. They actually have an aerial view of where they can go and set up and where the roads are, those types of things. Because usually the first responder that arrives usually sets up incident command. So you never know. That's why we try to collaborate with all of our law enforcement, our police department, and give them all that information so that they have it.
And then just about all of your safety audits from all the campuses, when they talked about training, a lot of them talked about de-escalation and all those types. There's 3 or 4 that seem very common across there. How do we do that type of training? Is that something?
Well, we do CPI training, which is also a de-escalation training, and also how to keep a kid safe when they're out of control. We do those at different times of the year. Matter of fact, Ms. Galloway is one of our instructors. We just brought a guy in that did de-escalation district-wide, including our bus drivers. We did it with our bus drivers this year too because they requested it because we have a lot of problems with parents at bus stops. Seriously, so we just did that last Friday we brought someone else that was outside the district in that provided training for our staff at the mini academies. We did.
I guess that's where we're going. It seems like most of the things they ask for, we provide training in-house for them in that.
We do.
Is it that they would want an outside person to teach them? They think it'd be something different?
Most of the time they just want more.
Why aren't they satisfied with what we provide, or there's something?
I don't think that they're not satisfied. Okay. I just think they want more. It's like just more. You might tell me something different than Ray might tell me something different. Same things.
Based off of your study, do you think if we brought a third-party outside person in, it would help from that standpoint?
It wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt. And we have so many staff that it'd help us out actually as far as facilitating training opportunities if we brought it.
And stuff like that, is that something that teachers do on their in-service days or something like that they could do?
Correct. We try to get the majority of it done before school, those types of things. We don't do it after school, of course, and then usually we'll do some during our in-service days throughout the year too.
Our campus principals, do y'all think that's something that needs to be done? You hear what your faculty has said about different things. It's not a trick question. I'm just asking y'all's thoughts.
No, and I got a lot of positive feedback from the session at the Media Academies because it was one of the courses, so not all the teachers elected to take that because they personalized it to them. And I got a lot of positive feedback from those that said they went and said it would be useful for all staff to hear. And again, it's just a different viewpoint.
Smiley back there, what do you have to say?
My teachers, when it comes to like the active shooter drills, they want more. They want like someone to come in and walk them through it. So they want to go through like simulation stuff. So when
we have done that at the high school.
When they say they want more, that's something they're looking for. So it's not that they don't feel trained. It's just that okay, now what's next? You've taught me this. Now what's next? So that's what they're looking for.
I think elementary school teachers want to be told what to do in every single situation, so they have like a playbook. But what to do because every situation is different and you have to use, you know, your training to figure out what to do. So I think they're always going to want more.
That's a good thing.
And it's a good.
My point is that you want the answers to be, we want more, right? Not that we feel comfortable, right? We never want to feel comfortable.
So do you have any idea what it costs to bring in a trainer to help train on
Sam?
any one of them? I'm
What
not,
did the de-escalation guy cost us?
Your number off the top of your head.
His name was, last name was Henry.
We do bring in, we do bring in other CPR people, CPR, first aid,
okay,
concussion.
yep.
We do have third, we have, our trainer does it as well, but we bring in third-party people to do that as well, simply because there's so many people we have to train. All our nurses are all trained stop the bleed instructors, so they team up together and they do all the staff. They do it together during the mini academies. As people come in, they do the stop the bleed trainings, and then those that can't attend or wasn't able to attend, they train them specifically on the campus themselves. And then secondary wise, they get together and they train all the kids every year in stop the bleed too. So
It was $2,000 for him to come in.
I'm sure it's probably
And he did
more
four
for more
sessions.
people that you train, and 2,000 doesn't sound like much, but
well, you're talking $2,000 for possibly training 500 people.
yeah.
And break it down per person, it's $20 per person.
Sam said that it was, he did 4 classes at the mini academy for $2,000.
It was all day. It was all day. You taught all day, it was 2,000.
5 to 7 hours.
And everybody seemed to really like it.
The bus drivers loved it.
Yes.
And I believe that was actually referred to us by Miss McIntosh, who attended a training at Region 4, if I'm not mistaken. Because, you know, as the superintendent secretary, she's having to de-escalate quite a bit.
I guess just listen to all the reports, my thought process and my questions asking is, you know, I would like you to come back maybe next month and say, you know, based off of all of them, certain things are repetitive, horns and things like that, things that need to be repaired. Come back with some budget that you think we should spend to correct some of these issues, and not that we just did a report and found out that they're there. And I don't know if that's $20,000, $50,000, I don't know, but I think we need as a board to stand up and say, hey, this is what they're asking for. We haven't done a lot of this in a long time, and it's all safety, it's all security, it's all for the betterment of our staff. And we should look at something that you recommend that you think we should do. And whether you talk to the principals and get them to prioritize and you go back from that, I don't know how you handle it or how you want to do it, but I just think you need to come to a recommendation with this, of what you think.
We can do that.
Is that okay with the board?
Yep.
Okay.
And I think it's something that can come out of fund balance, and I think it's important to show our staff that we're supporting.
Perfect. Any other questions about the Barrow safety audit before I move on? So just so you know how the safety audit process works, all campuses are now complete. I've given you a board report a report to the board on every campus. So tomorrow, sometime during the day, I will certify those results with TEA and with the Texas School Safety. So that's the next step there. I came to you last month and I was telling you about our safety standards grant, $209,000, talking about the big ticket items, and one of the things was the shatter resistance film as a recommendation from our school safety committee that would probably be the biggest bang for the buck. A couple months ago, you know, the ideal of the law is simply for exterior doors, all exterior doors that are not behind secured fencing, meaning 8 foot or 6 foot and unscalable, and the windows attached to it have to have bullets. They have to be done. So I went out and I said that, and Becky goes, well, we need to do all the windows. So I went out and got a bid for all the windows. So if you look at the College Station, so they first came out, they were the first company that came out, and they just gave me a quote on what it meant to meet the guidelines of the law, which is the exterior door and the windows adjacent to those doors. And that quote was $37,000 for 8mm film installed on the interior with structural anchor, which they all have that. Came back around to them and said, give me a bid for all of them. And that bid, I mean, we're talking every ground floor window and security vestibule, which was a lot of windows.
and that bid was for $168,700.
That's on all campuses.
All campuses. So I will tell you for the high school, it has the least amount simply because it's the windows here, the windows to the vestibule in the front office, and the exterior doors on the other side, because everything inside the high school is behind secure fencing. Okay? Not so much with the other campuses. Okay? Entry shield was out of Mountain Home, Arkansas. Actually, they were kind of referred to us by the superintendent and Damon. They use a 15 mil film, which increases the amount of time that it takes for someone to actually get through it and get in. They don't do anything else. And their quote was $222,000 for all. I just got one quote for them for all ground floor windows, vestibules, and doors. That was $222,000, but that doesn't include travel costs. So if we went with them, we'd have to ask you for a little bit of help, because simply we don't have that kind of money to do that from the grant. The one that I talked about last, and I would like to recommend to you, they've done a lot of schools throughout the state of Texas. Ty over at Brazosport recommends them. They did all their campuses over there, and that's National Glazing Solutions. They're based out of Georgia, but they have offices in Stafford. Their exterior doors, adjacent windows, and security vestibules, different from the Cool View one that was $37,000 because they included the security vestibules in that. That was $101,000. And then the exterior doors, vestibules, and all the ground floor windows was $170,000. And that was the number I threw at y'all last month. The 3M Ultra 800 6 to 8 millimeter is pretty much the industry standard, or what they recommend you to use. It is the 3M brand. And that's what I feel like we should go with. So just wanted to give you an idea. Just tell me how you want to move forward so that I can secure the vendors, and then I can bring that back officially to you next month.
What's this stuff look like? I mean, can you?
I had a piece of it last week. It looks like a piece of plastic film. I mean, and they anchor it to the sills, wet glaze it.
But it didn't distort view through the glass.
No.
Just so I'm clear, so Cool View's bid of 168 and National Glazing of 170 are comparable in what they're doing?
The exact same bid, yes, sir.
Okay.
Theirs is not name brand, meaning it's not 3M material. They didn't actually.
Doing the same amount of windows.
Same amount of windows, yes, sir.
Is the 15 mil like overkill?
Yes. Yeah.
And your recommendation is the National Glazing?
Yes, sir.
As far as I'm concerned, National Glazing's fine with me.
Okay.
Nobody else has an objection.
We'll get that together and bring that.
If it's somebody you're comfortable with and you know and you do them.
If anybody would actually, here's the bid or the actual packet, if anyone would like some reading material.
Would it be beneficial to get any of those windows tinted?
You can, it's additional. I don't have the money to do it.
Okay. I just didn't know if it's beneficial for any of those rooms, help keep them cooler or?
We've talked about that, particularly at Wild Peach, out in front where the cafeteria is. Number one, simply people can walk in and see in there, or not walk in and drive by. And then
Here you can do the mirror.
Right.
You can see out.
Right.
Can't see in.
And then the other one was the big picture window at WCE, in front of the cafeteria there. Possibly doing that one, but I didn't include it in the bids simply because I figured it was going to be $200,000 and I only had $209,000 to work with. I still had to do a couple other projects. So.
It's your generous night tonight, so get the bid on it, and I think if it's something the principals won't do,
okay,
we'll come out and
I want to do all of it.
Not all of it, but certain windows like that.
Identify certain windows.
Like that.
Okay.
To me, driving by Wild Peach where they can see in, that's a security issue.
Right.
For people that do that kind of stuff.
Right.
West Columbia Elementary is the same type of situation. So a couple of things like that, I don't have a problem.
Perfect.
And if it goes over your 209,000, let us know.
Well, that puts us at 170,000, and then we had talked about there's 30,000 we're looking at spending for to update the silent panic technology grant, because right now we just have the phone, but we're going to put it on laptops, and we're going to get some portables for teachers to take out while they're on the playgrounds if something happens. They can hit it and it alerts. And we also have to get it to where it'll roll down the front.
We'll figure your 170, 634, and what if the tinning goes above?
Yes,
Bring
sir.
it back to us to talk to Mr. Galloway, since that will be under 25,000, you have the ability to do something with that?
Just real quickly, I talked about the silent panic technology. We're going to go with DataVox there simply because we already have a system in place with them and it's cheaper. So we're gonna work on. I have another $10,000 grant specifically for that. So 10,000 there plus 20,000 from the other grant will cover that cost. So, the summer exterior door audits we're required to do have been done. Maintenance orders put in. Hopefully they're all fixed before tomorrow, which I was told they were. And then we just had our summer security meeting the other day. If you've never been to one, I invite you to come. I know Mr. Champagne's come before. They're really good. We're very grateful for who we have that comes and supports our schools. The chief does a good job of getting. Matter of fact, Chief, are you in here?
Yes, sir.
Tell them about your talking about training. Tell them what we did. Y'all did an E-wing the other day.
Yeah, we did some breaching training for my staff. We used some shields. I know I asked y'all a couple months ago before they start tearing the building up. We used the E-building. They didn't do too much damage. Busted a few doors and some windows, but it's all, that's the best training you use when you use actual part of the building.
Nobody got hurt?
Nobody got hurt.
Those are old doors, I thought it might hurt them,
So your shields and your what do you call the thing? Your
reach bars or whatever.
Y'all purchased for it last year?
The halogen bars.
Yeah, they got to use them the other day.
Did you break the doors down?
A couple of them. Smashed a couple windows.
Yeah, that was fun.
Make you feel better.
Felt like a kid again, didn't you? Perfect opportunity to practice.
You look for Mr. Willoughby running around the corner, did you?
That's all I have. If you have any other, I'm sorry I took so long. If you have any questions?
On your film, you said you had to get the quote in or ordered by the end of this month. When are we required to have it installed by our student?
By the 2025 school year.
Oh, okay.
I just have to have a vendor. I have to secure a vendor. I don't have to I just have to say, we're using these people to do the job. By the end
Your
of
thought
this
is to get it sometime during the year? Or?
Yes. Hopefully they can do it, we'll have to figure out how we want to do it.
And does this film inside or outside?
They put it inside. It'll be interior. Yeah,
okay.
It'll be interior. You can do interior and exterior, but
yeah.
Good deal. Any other questions, comments?
So the little things you were saying that we're gonna go on the teachers, I guess.
It's like a necklace.
So I was talking to a woman that works over, I think over in Clute, and she said they just got something, is this kind of what you're talking about, where she clicks it 8 times and it like immediately locks down the school, and if she clicks it 3 times, it alerts to like a medical emergency where if she couldn't get to a phone, she could.
It's not that detailed.
Okay.
It's just, you click it and it alerts the principal. And then it rolls the front door down. Hey, there's an emergency with the principal, chief, myself,
Gotcha.
Mr. Galloway. That there's an issue at this location right now.
Gotcha. Okay. And all the teachers are gonna get that, or just?
Not all the teachers. Everybody will have it on their laptop in their classroom, meaning they'll have it on they just click on the desktop icon. They can download it on their phone. We can't make them download it on their phone because that's their own personal phone. But we'll encourage them to so that they can use it on their phone. Because most of the teachers have their phone out of the playground or off when they're outside with kids, but the ones that don't want to do that will also have the remote ones as well. We're not going to get that simply because we've got other opportunities.
Sure.
So, any other questions?
Chief, get to give a report?
I don't have anything for y'all.
Pretty clean.
I'm sure we'll next month. We did hire a new officer. She will be working assigned to West Cumming Elementary. Every campus will be covered. We've been around, meeting all the principals, talked to them, and they've met with the officers.
So, if I'm not mistaken, you've got all equipment ordered, right?
Yes, sir.
All necessary things for the officer.
The new officer, I reached out, put in the order for the shield, her helmet, and a new radio, which it takes several months. I reached out to the county this morning. He's gonna bring me a loaner radio tomorrow, so she will have a radio with her on campus.
So really the only thing we have to look at is vehicle. So we've got to decide how we want to go about it. Do we want?
Because I have two campuses with one campus with just a fleet vehicle from transportation, and I got another school, which is, she's gonna be in a personal vehicle, she'll have
Until we can get that figured out.
She's gonna be in her own vehicle.
So we had that conversation last year, right, when we put one of the officers in I guess it's our escape, right? So it's lettered CBISD, but it doesn't have, we're not transporting kids, it doesn't have sirens, it doesn't have, radio installed and stuff like that. So we're gonna have to have a conversation about what that looks like, whether we're buying a police car and outfitting it, how we're gonna go about doing that.
And also, I've had a lot of concerns, questions about traffic concerns from the schools here at the high school and parents about traffic flow. We're gonna have 2 officers in the mornings out here working there. I'm gonna have an officer for the staff to come in, just get blocked in. I'm gonna have officers here at the stop sign until everybody gets it figured out. So I'm bringing officers in early, so we got all the traffic stuff covered. Hopefully everything goes smooth.
Probably change week to week.
Yep.
We're all covered there, so we'll see what happens. We'll find out in the morning.
Good. That's what I wanted to hear, so. That's all I've heard in Missouri is what it's gonna be like on the high school tomorrow. So, yeah, buddy. Good deal. We'll find out. Instructional update?
All right, if you look in your maroon folders, there's a score report. So I put in your letter this week that we were supposed to have letter grades for accountability, but we don't have it. But what I do have for you is our score report of how our campuses scored this year. So we have last year's scores, this year's scores. So if you want to follow, a grade level board, you're able to do that. So, we do have campus principals here if you have any questions. Ms. Fowler's here if you have any questions. Long story short, things look pretty good. We don't have state averages yet. So as soon as we drop, hopefully, as soon as the rest of the accountability drops, we'll have state averages and we'll be able to get you that information here pretty quick. Just to highlight things, we have 2 outstanding areas and 2 areas of concern, or 2 areas of concern or 8th grade history and 3rd grade math at Barrow. Those are our 2 high need areas. And then we have 2 glorification areas, and both of those are at WCE. If you look at 5th grade reading and 5th grade math, you'll see they performed outstanding in the 90 percentile range. So it's very good and huge growth in both of those groups. The rest of it is, I have a feeling it's going to come out to be, as far as state averages, I mean, my prediction is that we're going to be very close in most every area, except for those 2 that we highlighted.
It'd be interesting to see when the state averages come out, because, it looks like almost across the board we went up.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
There's definitely, if you put on, in a chart, you'll see we got way more growth.
So on Barrow, based off of what we're going through, how do these numbers look for that? Will be okay? It'll come off of the plan or whatever?
Correct. If you'll remember last year, we were talking about Barrow knocked it out of the park, right? And so when you score way higher than you expected, you almost expect it to fall. And that's one of the things we talked about. Please understand that Barrow scores can fall and they still get out from state, from state oversight. So our prediction is that we'll be out from state oversight.
Is that what your crystal ball says, Samantha?
That is what it does.
So keep in mind, you've got 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, and so it's the campus scores that are combined for that, right? And so if you look at the other grade levels, they performed well.
Good job.
And then when it comes to accountability, that growth model is in there in domain 3, and so if you score bad in 3rd grade, it doesn't get you in the growth model, right? I don't know if that's a positive, but it is.
Very good. Questions, comments? Kudos to y'all. Good job. y'all worked hard every day, but it's good to see when it pays off. There may be a couple of blips, but I know all in all, y'all did a good job on all of it. Thank y'all.
Other than that, first day of school tomorrow, ready to roll. Yeah. Like Chief, I'm thinking, if you're coming, I told the people who work here in the administration building, you better get here before 6 or wait till 8. If you're trying to do it in between 6 and 8, you're probably gonna have a problem.
No more sneaking through the parking lot to get over here.
No more sneaking in the back way, that's true that.
So based off of what we know now, how's enrolled compared to what we thought?
Enrollment looks very good. We've had a lot of movements and a lot of transfers into the district, and so we're sitting very well. I think most every campus,
I just see you did.
well, maybe not Barrow, but I think Barrow's not up, but I think every other campus is. Good. And so we're looking good. However, that's with a lot of the transfers in, but what we don't know until tomorrow is if we've had transferred out.
Okay.
Right, so the ones we're counting on have to show up, and that's what got us last year. We kind of predicted the same thing last year, and then we had a huge number not show up.
Okay. Makes sense to me.
Very positive right now. So I will tell you that just looking at that number and kind of putting the 90% attendance rate, that number, if everything holds, it's going to be way above the number we just put a budget for.
Don't tell Julie that.
She knows. She knows.
Let's surprise her in April.
No, if it's way above, I have some schools that say it.
Good. Okay. Financial report, Julie?
Everything looks fine. The only thing I'll point out is you'll notice on the budgets for federal, we haven't put our federal budgets in yet.
You did put, I'm sorry, that's minutes, I'm sorry.
Easy, Steve.
I'm sorry.
But everything else is on schedule. I have been working with Mo Casey. Of course, we're not doing the tax rate today. That'll come later in the action items as well. But we'll be doing that next week and next month. And they're also have reworked our revenue budgets. And so we'll probably do some amendments on that as well, just because of the 100,000 exemption they're expecting to pass. They've kind of reworked, and it's kind of switched between local funds and state funds.
Just switches buckets. They're not taking away from it.
No.
Okay.
No, they're not. And there's also, will be an INS where we'll get money back for INS that they're taking away because we passed the bond before a certain date. So that'll be included in there as well.
Okay. Good deal. Campus handbooks?
Mr. Mellon?
Campuses, you're all good there. Campuses, y'all have anything that you'd like? All the principals are available for questions.
Keep in mind, campus handbooks are just a report item, right? We're making it there.
They were all done through Model TASB Model Handbook. Decisions made based on our board policy and our campus decisions, and our local campus policies.
So I don't know if this is the time to mention it, but in the code of conduct, it says that the campus behavior coordinator will be listed in the handbooks and the name of the person and the contact, and it's only in the elementary book.
Secondary, you might want to fix that. Usually it's all the campus principals.
Well, it doesn't say that.
But
I mean, if it just says that, you're covered, but it doesn't. I tried to read every word, but I probably did. I think it's important if you're going to send it home because if they have behavior problems, they need to know who that is.
Well, typically the behavior coordinator is campus principal.
Yeah.
That's just the way it works here.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but the parents don't, and that's the handbook that goes to the parents, so it needs to be written in there.
Yeah.
The other thing, since these are new, I guess we're gonna, personnel will look at them. we need to be sure we update, like the high school, Wendy's still listed as assistant principal, but she'll be changing. We have someone.
Correct.
We need to look through all the administrators and all the different campuses and be sure with all the movement we had this summer that all that is in there correctly. High school is the main one I know.
Well, it's gonna have to do, I mean, you got a couple.
Yeah, we're adding some.
You're adding some tonight, so yeah, it's gonna have to be, it's a living document.
No, I knew that, but
But it needs to be updated as we do it.
Yeah. I think every one of them lists the high school or the administrative staff and stuff, so there's some changes. So anyway, like I say, just check on those, that's the only thing I was. Any other questions or comments? I guess my 22 report was pretty much taken up by the voted on that, so let's go. CBISD Educational Foundation report.
All right, so next month, Moak and Casey will be here, and Demrath and O'Hanlon, the lawyer as well, to talk about adding a resolution that allows the district to split the 313 money that's coming in this year, the revenue protection versus the yearly amount. What was decided by the finance committee when we met is that over the next 4 years, the revenue protection money that's the makeup, right, for year one that we've allowed them to pay over 4 years will go to the district, and then the yearly payments will go into the educational foundation. To be able to do that, we have to have a resolution in place before November 1st that allows Moak and Casey to handle that and notify them so that by the end of January, when those payments are made, that they go to the right spot. So with that, over the next few years, you will be putting quite a bit of money into that foundation. And so one of the things we need to talk about is getting that foundation off the ground. So when we originally formed the foundation, kind of, if you want to call them the charter members, Chris Pastic has served as our president, Jonathan Champagne, Linda Heber, Wade Quinn, Jim Stubbs, Dale Franken was on the original one, Nick Condra, and Jerry Michael. And so my suggestion is that we need to reach out, see if all of those individuals are still willing, but also look to build it to where we have a full slate of officers, but we also have other supporting members to help us make decisions and move forward. It would be nice to have that in place way before January. The other piece of that too is that since the inception, because of the amount of money we've raised, Mr. Champagne is always taking care of the taxing things. And as of right now, I'm the only person that's on the checkbook, right? So all of that information comes to me. When we put that first check in there, I really don't want anything to do with having that checkbook in my office, right? And so, we've talked a little bit about this, about having somebody that actually runs that foundation. We do have opportunities, much like other districts, where you actually split fund a position, say like communications and foundation together. So I would hopefully like to have some conversations about what that might look like and what y'all think is doable when it comes to that.
I don't remember the Moak Casey runs, but it seems like the first year the foundation would get somewhere between $300,000 and $450,000, I think, if I remember. It's over 10 years, and over 10 years it should end up being close to $3 million. I remember that portion of it. With that being said, maybe you can reach out to Sweeney's Foundation, or you, and maybe Angleton, I think, has a foundation, and maybe with the districts, and see, do they have a written document between the foundation and school, how that works, kind of what the, if there's a standard fee they use, but I mean, the foundation will have enough money in it that we can invest enough to pay someone to help out and do a tax return. Even if we get kind of a master, whoever does it, I don't know how to do that. The host card's very easy, and I can do that, but I don't want to get involved in the other and cause us problems. We need to be sure that we use the standard of how other foundations and school districts work. So you may already know it, I don't know, but I think we just need to reach out and get somebody.
Talked to the people from Sweeney, and then I've also talked, connected with the lady in Angleton.
Okay.
And so, we can.
Yep. I mean, I would figure in my mind, but I don't know if that's what they use or not, or what, as it grows, we could absorb that. I mean, theoretically, at some point, we could have a person that's nothing but foundation
Yeah.
and doing that. But that's just.
Some of those are tied into grant type positions as well, becomes your grant person for the district, right?
Yep. Okay, sounds good. But I think it's great to reach out. I mean, if any board members know of anybody that would want to serve on there, bring Mr. Galloway the names. That's kind of how we started. People that have interest in the district or younger children in the district that would like to see it grow. The whole purpose of the foundation is to earn money to be able to put back in our school districts with either materials or supplies, or some districts use it to help supplement their budgets. But
I've had a lot of discussions over the years about people, and the comment's been, well, when you get busy, call me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
Right, I don't want to be on it if you're not doing something. I want to know what the goal is and how we're going about it, right?
Yeah. So, neat.
Well done.
Good. Action items. Approve the meeting day for September 19th to discuss the adoption of 2023 tax rate. Is that our normal meeting date?
Yes. Yes, it is. It is.
Okay, we just need to say it's going to be that day?
It's going to be that day.
I make a motion, we do our normal meeting of September 19th to adopt a 2023 tax rate.
I'll second.
Second by, is it Jackie?
Yes, sir.
All in favor? Any opposed? Carries. Next is the lunch price increase for elementary and secondary schools.
Mr. Miller and Cynthia King are here, so who wants to? We do have an attachment in board book for you. So, who's up?
First of all, I would like to say that I'm always looking for different ways for the kids to eat free breakfast and lunch. I'm trying to figure out something where we can get it yearly. That's my goal. I'm always looking out for the kids. But after August the 31st, the students that's on reduced lunch, breakfast and free breakfast, everything will be free for breakfast after September the 1st on all campuses. Students that's on free lunch and reduced lunch will eat breakfast for free. The reduced lunch is like, breakfast is like 30 cents. So after September, August the 31st, September the 1st, the reduced breakfast kids will eat free throughout the year. That's something TDA came up with, and that was, but they can't start to September 1st. So that's automatically free breakfast for the reduced kids on all campuses.
But until then, they have to pay the 30 cents or whatever?
To 30 cents. I don't know why the little few days they have to pay the 30 cents, but it won't start till September the 1st.
That's when the state budget process works.
Yeah, so they'll start eating free at all campuses, the breakfast. Okay, so at the end of the year, I did a free and reduced lunch percentage. The high school was 61%, West Brazos Junior High was 66%, West Columbia Elementary was 58%, while Peach was 81%, Barrow was 78%. If you had 80%, you're good to go with free breakfast. So while Peach was the one.
When you say that, you're talking about a universal where the
Yeah, the universal breakfast, right? Even though Barrow has 78%, it still wouldn't do it if you had to have 80. They said if they start letting some of us do it, then everybody would want to do it. So that's how that went. So me and Mr. Miller got together and we crunched some numbers together to see how much, if we had to pay students and everything at 100%, how much would it cost us to eat breakfast every day on the campuses for yearly? It was $209,000. That's how much it would cost us. And therefore, if we know that will never happen, everybody won't eat breakfast. If say 50% at each school ate breakfast, that would be $100,000. We saying 50, we not saying everybody, because we know at the high school and stuff, that won't happen. And if you read in the newspaper, they were saying some of the schools, Angleton, Swaney, Brentsport, they was eating free breakfast and whatever. But some of the, not the high school and the junior high, they couldn't do it. It was their elementary schools that was doing it. And if they had somebody to sponsor that extra money for them, we don't know if they did or not. They can do it. And I'm quite sure some of them did have other people that sponsors the schools, like Phillips and Dow. And yeah, they can do it, because Swinney only had the elementary school. But again, that goes by the low poverty. And while Peaches one of them, they have a lot of low income families. Barrow have them too, but it's, what I'm saying is it's kind of hard to get some of these families to fill out the application. They think is belittling their kids, you know, if they fill it out, they don't want nobody to know that their kid is on the program. But I do try to explain to them that nobody will ever know that their kid is on there, because only the person who's checking them out will see that kid is on there. But it's just kind of hard to make them understand that. And then they say, okay, everybody else got free breakfast and lunch. Yeah, but they're participating in the program. They're filling out applications. We got to fill out applications, plus we have direct certified kids, which are the SNAP kids, the TANF kids, and people on Medicaid. A lot of people, when they fill out the application, they don't say their kid is on Medicaid. But we have on the state, we can pull up these kids and see who's on Medicaid. And then I call them and say, hey, your kid was on Medicaid? Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to, you know, do that. And that's a loophole that I've been working on, trying to make them understand. You gotta let us know. And then sometimes they be on SNAP and they don't put it on their application. And they get denied because maybe they making too much money, but they really not. That's what they thinking in their heads, that they are. So they don't put it down. You have to call them and question them. Hey, your child, you get SNAP in the home, you know, whatever. And then they'll say, oh yeah, give me your number. And we put the number in. And what I try to do, another thing is tell them that the guidelines change every year. It's been going up and up and up. You know, you might have been, say, 2 kids and 2 people in the household, and it might say been $3,000. Well, this year it's up to $4,000 or something. So you got that extra cushion to you know, to make it. And you know, most of them say, I ain't gonna qualify. You don't know. Let's see. Because a lot of people, you know, those kids need help. You know, and I'm trying to do everything I can to make sure they get that. You know, and I when the parents call, I talk to them and everything, and hey, I assure them that, hey, they coming to school here and it's gonna be nothing but great things that happen to them and their kids. And they appreciate it, and they always, you know, I'll stop doing what I'm doing. I like filling out an application. For some reason, I'm serious. I don't care what I'm doing. That's all. Hey, I tell parents all day long, filling out applications, because we in for kids. And oh yeah, and the lunch for the elementary was $2.85. It went up 10 cents to $2.95. The high school and West Brazos Junior High went up from $3.15, 5 cents to $3.20. That's an increase because everything went up and.
But that's per paid student. So if I remember, those calculations are based on a formula, right?
Yeah, we got to.
For you to get reimbursement, you have to charge.
Yeah, we have a PLE tool that we have to use to see if we got to go up on our breakfast or our lunch. And that's the tool we have to use.
So basically, there's a formula to offset the reimbursement.
Right. Right.
So I'm confused. You said that September 1st, we will offer free Breakfast is to everybody.
That's on reduced.
Free and reduced.
Free and reduced. If your child is on free lunch, you automatically know you're gonna get free breakfast.
Okay.
If you have a child that's on reduced breakfast, they will start getting, they don't have to pay the 30 cents. Remember I told you that we charge 30 cents, they won't pay 30 cents, it'll be free.
It's reduced, this kid on reduced.
Yeah.
Not every kid, just the ones on those two
That
programs.
number that she gave you.
And so you're talking about, in the past, everybody got it. September 1st, only free and reduced would get it.
Right.
Okay, I was confused there.
So on these numbers, you get the percentages, like the 58 for for West Columbia, 81. Those are percentage of the kids that are on?
Free and reduced.
Yeah.
Okay, so at that point, you take the rest of the number of kids, like, for instance, 22% at Barrow. That's where y'all got the 100,000?
Correct, so what you do,
Go ahead.
so what we did is I simply just took enrollment numbers from last year. So I took 68% of that, subtracted to gave me the resulting, multiplied it times $1.25 per day, times 173 days per campus, and then had a grand total. And actually the grand total came up when I did the official number based on the enrollment was like 234. But like what she was saying, that's if 100% of your paid students that, when I say paid students that have to pay, which at Wild Peach, well, nobody has to pay at Wild Peach because everybody eats breakfast for free at Wild Peach because they qualified for universal breakfast.
Right.
You go to Barrow, they're 2% short, they were 78%, so 22% of their kids are gonna have to pay for meals. So you take that 22%, whatever that number is, multiply it times $1.25, you get the daily amount that you're gonna pay times 173 days. It gives you what, if all 22% of those kids ate every day, it's that number. We did that for every campus, and it ended up being about $230,000. And what she was saying,
just for breakfast.
Just for breakfast. If you wanted to cover the cost of doing a universal breakfast for everybody, that's the amount. That would be the peak, meaning 100% of the paid kids eat. But we know that's not going to happen at the high school. Roughly 30%. I wouldn't even say 30% of the total population even eats breakfast. So now you're taking that percentage of paid kids, let's say it's 38%, because it was 62% at the high school, I believe, 38% is whatever number, I would probably say 20% of those kids. So that's why she said, if you just take the $230,000 and let's say 50% of those kids left actually eat breakfast, that brings you back down to about $115.
So could you do just the elementaries?
You could. You could. It would be you got that sheet?
Yeah.
Let me see it. I wrote a dissertation earlier today. So what it would cost you, this is what I have for, Wild Peach would be free. It would cost you, for Barrow, it would cost you about 20 grand. For WCE, it would cost you about 65 grand.
And that would be at 100%?
That would be at 100%, correct. So you're looking at about 100 grand, so take out.
That's if everybody.
That's if every paid kid ate. Yes.
For the whole year.
For the whole year. Unless I did the math wrong, but $1.25 times each kid times 173 days is the number that I came up with.
But I mean, to me personally, the elementary kids would need to over like a high school kids.
Well, a lot of your high school kids aren't even getting here until third period.
Right, exactly.
Majority of your juniors, and juniors can have 2 periods off, seniors can have 3 periods off, and most of them choose to take them away.
And the main reason I say is, like you said, there's a lot of parents that don't feel like they want to, that it shames their kid. Their kid really needs that breakfast.
And it helps structurally, and I will tell you this, and I don't know a lot about elementary school being a second, but I know, talking just structure-wise, kids walking in, going to breakfast, that type of thing, routines and stuff in elementary school, it's important.
And there's a way we can track how much we spend on that.
Yes, it is.
Well, we know who the free and reduced kids are, and we know who's not.
We ring them up.
Yes, yes.
You ask Jonathan Champagne, he sees free and reduced, so that goes there. If it's Ray Sisson, it doesn't show up, so that would go to a different bucket so you can track.
Yes.
You doing that?
Yeah, we know who the free are.
Now, we're assuming, now there's a big assumption here is that we have that same amount of numbers that qualify. We might have more. Barrow might have 85. Mary might qualify 90% of her kids this year. Barrow might get, it also depends on how many kids qualify for free and reduced lunch this year. Right now, it carries over for 30 days. And then.
And how do we get parents to sign up?
We require them to sign the handbooks and stuff, don't we?
Yeah, but they don't have to do a free and reduced lunch form. I mean, get you talking, people just, they don't have to do it.
I mean, is there a way?
You can opt out.
Is there a way we can email that to families?
Oh, yeah.
So they're
Well,
not
Cynthia calls
embarrassed
us
by
personally.
looking at.
She does it over the phone. She'll call them personally.
And we do have emails, we have the emails, and Lynn, I work with Lynn, and she's put it out on Skyward, telling the parents about it and stuff.
To call or something?
Yeah, about the free lunch applications and where to go to get it at online and stuff. So we putting it out, and we put it on the page, the front page of CBISD about the lunch and stuff. So it's out there, but I don't know.
I mean, I can see someone being embarrassed that when they come for registration or meet the teacher night, stand out and filling out something and someone's seeing it. So I didn't know there was a private way for somebody to do it.
We have it online, so they can go online and put it up and fill out an application, and it comes straight to us, the nutrition department. So nobody never know who fill out an application.
And a lot of times the managers, the campus managers will notice that kids are starting to ring up balances. And they'll call the parents and say, hey, why don't you fill out a free and reduced form and then you don't have to pay. Oh, you can do that? Yeah, let's do it over the phone real quick. Boom.
Yeah, and I try to tell my students at least to get at least 15 people per week. We have a list, call them. And we know who the ones are that don't pay and their kids have a big balance, so we try to get those to help them out. Those are the first targets, but we call them, we talk to them, but I like to get them, that sometimes they'll say, well, I'll fill it out later. I don't want to take me 5 minutes. Let's
pay me now or fill out this form. I'm not taking no for an answer.
I'll stay on there. We're going to fill it form.
So if we paid for elementary schools, would you still continue to do the process you're doing now to try to sign up people, to try to get us above the number that we need?
I mean, what did the principals in here think? Y'all think elementary principals? I mean,
We want free breakfast for all our students. We definitely do, and it will change and impact our procedures.
I would assume that it changed your morning routine. Like when you have a universal breakfast and everybody's doing it, you can have breakfast in the classrooms. You can arrange how you do it because you're all doing it.
That's exactly the case for us.
Right, well, that's what we've been doing the last several years, right? Hurricane Harvey, COVID, those kind of things, and so those have been in place.
We literally can't feed everybody in our cafeteria because our cafeteria will not fit all the students that eat breakfast.
Once you go to some do, some don't, now you gotta have it before you go to the
And then we
classroom.
have chaos in the hallways because they're trying to go get the breakfast and then they have to bring it back to the classroom, which causes behavioral problems. So we've had to come up with a whole new procedure just for not having free breakfast.
I would vote for the elementary schools, us keeping everybody 100% free lunch. To me, junior high and high school, I don't think at all because those kids or whatever. But I think it's important at that young age that they get a good meal, start off the day the same way and be consistent throughout that process.
I agree.
Would be my thoughts. And we can monitor the junior high and see how that goes, and we could change it and decide during the school year if we chose, I guess, but see where we're at on that and how it affects this year if not everybody's getting it free, how many's actually taking and getting numbers off of that, and kind of give us a report later on that.
I think that if the kids have it in the classroom, you're going to see more kids actually eat it.
Yeah, they're accustomed to that.
Okay. So I would vote to whatever the cost is for the elementary schools to be able to have.
So the motion would be to approve the increase in lunch prices and to cover student breakfast at the elementaries, right?
You know what I said?
Yep.
That's what I thought.
Well, I'm clarifying it with Cynthia to make sure that we're.
Do we need two motions or one good?
I would just do the one motion and add to it.
Okay. We have a second.
I'll second.
Second by Ray. All in favor? Any opposed? Approved. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Ms. King,
Thank you
Mr.
so
Miller,
much.
thank you very much.
Thank
Very,
you.
very much.
Julie, make your budget any different?
Unbalanced.
It will.
Yeah.
That's,
If you're gonna spend money, that's a great way to spend it.
yeah.
And now, we haven't done all of our adjusting entries yet, but they've done well on staying within their budgets.
This past year.
Revenue and expenses last year, so.
Most of the general public has no clue when you talk about having 66, 81, 78% economically challenged percentage in our district, what that means for kids in their food. Next, student code of conduct.
Mr. Miller? So you'll have the student code of conduct in the board book. I went through it, and yes, because I know Ms. Heebner's, I know she's caught it. There's page numbers that haven't been linked simply because that's not the final copy. That's the highlighted copy for you to show you the things that have changed. So the things that are highlighted, they're not necessarily changed. If there was a change of verbiage, meaning it still meant the same thing, it just was worded differently, I highlighted. So everything highlighted in there, there's only actually one big change in the student code of conduct this year, and you've probably already heard about it. I know Mr. Kenny has put it out. I don't know if Mr. Serio has put it out yet. But so the last couple of years, any kid that was caught with a THC vape in a school, it was a mandatory expulsion, meaning we had to send the kid to JJAP. Well, the JJAP was filled up with kids getting caught with THC vapes. I mean, they went from having 30 to 70. They were maxed out, meaning if we had a kid that we wanted to discretionarily send, meaning they did something that wasn't mandatory, but they weren't going to be here, we couldn't send them. And even if we had a kid we wanted to mandatorily send, if they didn't have room, we had to put them somewhere before they would take them. So a lot of people got with their legislators, raised some heck, blah, 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 blah. Legislators decided to change, but when they changed it, they got rid of the expulsion piece, but they added to it that every student that gets caught with any vape automatically got the DAP. So what that means is this, and believe it or not, vapes are very common, particularly at the high school and the junior high. It's this, it's just like cigarettes or snuff back in the day. You don't find cigarettes anymore. You don't find stuff anymore. You find vapes. Well, a student that gets caught with a vape will be placed in DAP. A mandatory placement in DAP. So that is the biggest change to the student code of conduct. The principals, we've gotten together. We have a plan in place of how we're going to handle that. The DAP placement means it is a disciplinary setting. Mr. Kenny worded it great. You worded it great in your little. What was it? A disciplinary placement for in your announcement? Do you remember how it was worded?
Where it changes the educational placement, but it still keeps them in a structured disciplinary setting where they still pursue their education.
Very, that was great. So anyways, but with that, there's procedural processes. The parents or the student is entitled to a hearing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's just, it's going to be an issue.
So DAP is going to be full.
DAP will be full.
We're going to have the same battle that's going to be with us here.
Take the whole auditorium.
So anyways, coming back to the student code of conduct, that's the big change. That's the main huge change in this year's
But
student
talk
code.
about the process that you talk about, the secondary level of a kid that gets put in that situation.
So any kid that's placed in DAP,
for that reason.
For that reason. So what we've talked, our initial plan is that we, usually our DAP placements are for 45 days. We're not going to put a kid in DAP for 45 days for getting caught with a vape. That's a little excessive. Because we have to put him in DAP, it needs to be more, because that's a bigger consequence than ISS. What we're going to do is we're going to put them in a 15-day DAP assignment and assign them a tobacco awareness class. And if they complete the tobacco awareness class, then they'll be allowed to exit in 10 days on a first offense. On a second offense, it doubles. And on a third offense, it doubles. And then we're also going to ask them, we can't make them, Well, we can make them if we let them out early. We had that
Part of the
conversation.
transition
As
plan.
part of the transition plan, if we wanted to let someone out early, require them to see Rhonda Rourke, who has experience with
She's certified.
substance abuse.
Licensed substance abuse counselor.
So that's where we're at right now. First day's a 15-day assignment, possibility of getting out at 10 with a tobacco awareness class and a visit to the counselor. And then from there, it'll double to 30 to 60 to 90 to 1.
So are we buying a tent and put it on the concrete parking lot
Might have to.
with chairs so kids can sit up there in DAP?
We might have to. We have no choice.
I'm not joking. They don't need to be sitting in a classroom. I mean, because there's liable to be hundreds of them. You know? And it doesn't need to be a gravy train. So, I don't know we're gonna figure out, but I'm in support of those kind of items.
The word will get out, they'll stop. Something to come.
We're hoping. We're hoping.
Hope it's not a strategy.
I will tell you this, we still can expel, and we may still possibly THC vapes. That's the whole other issue.
Well,
It's discretionary.
Well, the nice thing about it is it will open up space at JJ. So if we do need to run discretionary, at least there's going to potentially be room for us.
There have been instances where kids have had them and they didn't know they were THC vapes. They bought a vape, well, supposedly. There was a
You're better than that.
Well, they're hoping that we fall for that.
Somebody puts his label on
Well, the reason why I know is because the kids that sold it, they didn't know it.
Yeah.
There's no way they knew it. Just, that's a long story.
Is there a certain threshold where if they get like a third offense, then you skip it goes straight to a different consequence, or no, it just continuously
You understood?
cumulatively adds?
It cumulatively adds, because DAP is the highest offense, other than expulsion, that we can discipline a student.
But we can't, I mean, any expulsion for that would be discretionary.
Correct. It's not mandatory. That is
It's not
correct.
mandatory, meaning if we did send somebody to JJP for that, there would have to be room for them to be accepted, and it would cost us $100 a day.
125.
They go up 125 a day.
So if you do expulsion, they have to go to JAP?
Correct. Unless they're 18. But we just provide educational services to them at home. They usually will take them if they have room. You know, years ago, when we had the drug bust and we expelled 18 of them, they took our 18-year-olds. So, but they've not taken our 18-year-olds before because they had too many, so.
Chief, so what are all the chiefs saying in y'all's monthly meeting about this? All the schools have to do it now.
Same thing, they're gonna be lined up out the door. You know, like Brazosport, they have separate seating, separate location for theirs, but they're gonna be packed. And then also, you know, this attorney, Tom Stokes, gave us the discretion whether to file a THC felony or misdemeanor repeated.
It'd be nice if they put some teeth in something where you could stop them or slow them down.
Well, so most of the extracurricular activities, you know, FFA, all the sports and stuff, if they go to DAP, then they're not allowed to participate in a lot of those.
They're done for the semester unless principal overrides that. So a 15-day, you know, one thing that student, that you know, talking back to the campus behavior coordinator, whenever you're assigning consequences, you're always able to calculate in intent, discipline history, you know, is it a student with special education, motive, you know, those types of things.
Other factors.
Other factors, you know, so you don't, so that's one thing you can do. But yes, historically, students assigned to DAP were not allowed. Now granted, our DAP assignment was always our minimum assignment was a 45-day assignment, which was 9 weeks. Essentially, and so that pretty much took care of the semester or the season anyways.
Well, I mean, I think if you left that in there, then, I mean, I'm not saying you're punishing just those kids, because there's 60% of the kids that aren't in the extracurricular are gonna be in there as well. Right. But, I mean, the only thing you caught with one, they can't play football or something.
But, you know, it's always up to the head coach to make, they could make that a rule to play their sport. If you get caught, you're not welcome. They have that right.
You always want to weigh the other side too. They don't come to school for math, science, social studies. So if we take away the things that they come to school because they enjoy and they don't have the option of that at all, what are they going to do?
Right. No, I agree.
So it depends on the student.
It'll be a
Mitigating
learning
factors,
year.
There's a lot of things to consider.
So I think what you're saying is what's been written now is that there's an out if you want it.
There is an
There's a
out.
good case for it, right?
Yep. But
It's
they
not,
can be,
it's not a hard
statements.
no, it's not a hard no like it used to be. It can be.
Discussion.
It's a discussion, right? Each time, individually,
Okay.
based on all of those factors.
So in December, I'd like you to give us a report on what's happened, how many different things, repeat offenders, that type of stuff.
I will tell you this, I think, on the, never mind, I'm not gonna tell you that.
Don't put it out.
I'm not gonna say that.
Linda, what other questions you have about it?
I have a question on page 34 in regard to emergency expulsion procedures. What would be an emergency for expulsion?
Anything Mr. Galloway deemed an emergency expulsion.
Okay.
So,
Give me some examples.
so let's just say we find a gun on campus. We don't think that it's right that we wait the 3 days, right, to do an investigation. We don't, sometimes when we schedule a hearing, we have to have the parent agree to come to the hearing, right? So sometimes that gets expended. There are times when we have to say, it's so bad on our side, we've emergency done it, and if you want to meet in 2 weeks, we'll meet in 2 weeks, but the discipline's going forward now.
Right.
Okay.
So,
Essentially, it's waiving the procedural process
Right.
and saying you're expelled.
right,
Anytime there's, what is it, it specifically says imminent harm,
yeah,
property or persons.
yeah.
So then, can you show me in the code of conduct where we tell people that we're going to suspend their kids while we investigate a problem?
That's not in the code of conduct, that's a campus procedural.
Okay.
And we have asked, we've talked about this administratively. We look at attendance, right? And we need our attendance to be as high as we can. One of the things that we've said this year is that if you don't get to suspend for investigation unless you have mine or Mr. Miller's approval to do that.
It's going forward.
Going forward, starting tomorrow. Meaning if we have something going on, we want to keep them on campus, we put them in ISS, keep them on campus, keep them that while we investigate. You put them in ISS while we investigate, not just send them home.
I like that. Better. I don't like that.
Right, yeah.
Because when you're talking about sending a kid home or putting him in ISS or putting him in DAEP, it's worth your time to stop what you're doing and investigate it right then. Don't wait 3 days, don't wait 10 days, don't wait however, I'm not talking just you, I'm talking.
I think it's
You're
more
talking
timing of
about-
the families though, like trying to coordinate that versus their time.
Well,
Yeah. So generally what happens is most of the time those were like, let's just say we have a physical altercation that involves 7 kids, right? And so now you've got these stories and you really, when you punish somebody, you really want to have, you got to go interview kids and have statements and, you really try to, and sometimes you get bogged down when it comes to that kind of stuff. But what we're going to ask is that we just, the suspensions are going to be, there's some type of physical harm, threat, and if it doesn't meet that criteria, we're going to try to keep them on campus. Right? And that's just been a tool that we've all used, right, from time to time when it comes to.
So if you had someone, you put them in ISS, and you do an investigation, and then when you get to an investigation, you find out that it's heinous or whatever, would you do something else at that, possibly do something else at that time, or just the IS covers the whole, how does that?
So what would happen is that you would say, we could say, you're in ISS pending, it's just a placement, right? You're in ISS pending investigation, rather than being suspended pending investigation. So what happens is sometimes as you're talking to kids, maybe after 1 day, somebody may be declared innocent right, before that. But, a lot of times when it comes to that, the idea is trying to find the truth. And sometimes people don't give you the whole truth, and you talk to a variety of people and you're able to put it. So the principals have what are we going to call it, a preponderance of evidence, right? We have a reasonable suspicion that happened. So the principals sometimes, right, you can be hardcore and just hammer everybody, or you can really take your time. And I think what happens is we have people that try to take time and get it right. And they would rather go slow than get it right. But when you do suspend kids, number one, it makes their attendance go down. But number two, it does put a strain on families and that kind of stuff.
So theoretically, someone could be suspended after the investigation.
Correct.
If it got to that point.
Correct.
The ISS doesn't
No, that's
supplement suspension.
If somebody done something, we might have to say, hey, we know where we're at now, we're suspending you, we're scheduling a hearing. You know, generally what's going to happen, the suspension is going to be if we're having a hearing to do something serious.
But at that point,
yeah.
If you've left that kid in ISS for those many days, then why would you suspend him after that?
Well, that's true. That's what I'm saying.
You know,
It's going to
if
depend.
they were a threat,
Yeah.
I personally want them off the campus.
Right. But no, I'm saying it's a deal. What we're trying to take away is just grouping. Right. It's just grouping. We think you were involved. We're going to suspend everybody involved, right? So one of the things is we can't have people talking to one another, right? Or you don't want somebody still on campus bullying somebody else and not giving us the right. So you're trying to eliminate all that just to get it right.
Right.
Right. So
no, I agree with it. I mean, we want the kids on campus if it's safe, for sure.
Exactly.
I'm not talking about the guilty kids, I'm talking about the innocent ones.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Because the innocent ones, now we've ruined their reputation, we put them in timeout, we put them in DAP.
Well, we can't find out if they're innocent until we investigate.
Right. So what happens?
Suspending them.
Yeah.
So, you know, we are talking about safety, but we're also talking about kids and being fair to kids. And I can't tell you how many times my kids picked up trash and cleaned the bathroom at Missouri Elementary and came home and asked me why they had to do it. They didn't even know it's because some other kid wouldn't admit to doing it. But every kid in the class had to clean up the bathroom, you know. So if there's a way to protect the innocent, I think we should go at all costs, at all time element, at stopping whatever we have to stop to do it, to be sure those kids don't get zinged in the process, because there are innocent kids getting beat up on campus. I hope not routinely, but I just know of some particular incidences that I can't look at a parent and go, I don't have an excuse, I don't know what would be better, we were trying to protect your kid. And now we ruined his reputation because he got suspended or he got put in DAEP or whatever, so. And I think that probably should be explained somewhere in a code of conduct too.
Well, that's a tool that's used, right? You can't, the campus administrators have to have tools available to do what's needed. The more you put in writing, the more you're going to handcuff them, right? How things are going to be. And
it's a whole book of handcuffs.
So what would you like to see?
So I want us to
written in
think
there?
about it, and I want us to decide if it's worth putting in the handbook. Because people want to know how their kids are going to be treated, and where is the standard that I can hold the school district to? You sent my kid home because she got beat up in the hall. Now, she got suspended. You know what I'm saying? Like, she got suspended. So where does it tell me that that's the way that's going to be handled? Like, administration gets to do anything they want to do? I mean, there's so many other particulars in this document. I did read the document.
I think in situations like that, though, I would assume the kid gets attacked.
This was more than one time, too, and different people. So it's a procedural thing that's happened twice that I know of. So.
That the victim was sent home.
Yes.
And they did nothing wrong.
I don't know that they did nothing wrong, but they were beat up.
But was it also for the safety of the child that was beat up, to pull them out of the situation?
That's what they were told. They were sent home. No, but they were sent home on suspension, on their permanent record, because they were the victim. I just want us to fix that. I just don't want kids to be treated that way.
So how does it work if two kids get in a fight, they both get sent home for suspension in the old way? Now you're talking about they both go to ISS. If they went home, you did an investigation, you found out person A definitely beat this kid up and the other kid was.
So here's the way it's supposed to work. You have a fight. When you walk up on a fight, you're breaking up a fight, you don't know who started the fight. You break the fight up. You get them separated. There's tension there. Usually, you're not going to calm them down. So what you do, you suspend the student, number one, so you can do an investigation. You can only suspend a kid for 3 days. That's the max. You can only suspend a kid for 3 days. I'm going to suspend you and Ray for 3 days. If I find out that now we have cameras and students video everything. I find out pretty quick that I got a video from Matt that he attacked you. I can call you and say, look, we made a determination that you weren't at fault. We'll welcome you back in school. Usually that conversation is going to be, well, my kid doesn't feel safe. What safety procedures can we have in place? That's the way it should happen, you know.
And then you make up 3 days of work because you did nothing wrong, but you were.
Hopefully you were called after day one because they got the film and they were able to call them back. But you don't know who's at fault until you do the investigation. You have to determine.
If I was the one and I got to come back to school because it was determined that Ray is so mean to me all the time. Does anything go on my record about the fight or anything else?
If there was, it would be taken off. And if it didn't, then I would hope the parent would say, hey, you said I wasn't at fault, but it's still in Skyward. You know what? You're right. I should take it off.
What Linda's saying is that's embarrassing. The kids getting sent home when they did it wrong. But I see both angles on it, and I think like Steven said, we got to be careful what we put in here, because then if you put the wrong stuff in here, then you can't even discipline the kids when they need to be disciplined.
When they did it wrong.
Right. Yeah. Now you can't send him home, and he needed to be sent home.
That's clearly covered in this document. That's who, what, how, when, and why, who you're going to send home is clearly covered in this document.
Once you figure out who did it.
Right.
That's the key.
You say you have it on video now. How long does it take to pull up a video and look at it?
Well, I would hope when you do the investigation, I can only speak from my perspective. When I was high school principal, when I talk about these people, first thing they're pulling up, they're not, you got kids coming in, you got kids writing statements. Well, you got to take time to talk to those kids. You got to take time to have them write statements down so it can become record, right? As part of your investigation, I have these documents. I got to pull each video camera to see, hopefully I got it here. I don't have it here. Hopefully I can get it from this angle. If I can't get it on the school camera, then hopefully, hey, do you know of anybody that videoed it? Yeah, so-and-so was a video. Call them in. Hey, would you share me? No, I'm not sharing you. Okay, did anybody else? Would you see anybody? So-and-so. But usually what happens is it gets sent to this person, it gets sent to this person, it gets sent to this person, and someone walks in and say, hey, look at here. Am I wrong? 9 times out of 10, that's how it happens. And then you're like,
or it gets posted.
Or it gets posted in a parent.
Right.
I mean, because there's times I will tell you this, there was times you walk up on a fight and you don't know who started it, and it's mutual combat. Back in the day, both of them got Class C misdemeanors.
Right.
And we had to go to court.
Yeah.
So, but I know Mr. Galloway's always said, if you find out someone's at fault and you had suspended them both pending investigation, you should be calling and having that other person come back to school. And I've sat through many meetings that's taken place, but as far as the suspension piece, it's to find out what happened. The person that's wrong is going to stay out, more than likely. And then the person that, if there truly was someone that was a victim, we're trying to bring them back.
Well, I'm sure if you walked up on a student laying in the fetal position and somebody's beaten.
We automatically know.
Right.
Right.
I mean, so it's still on a case-by-case situation.
So, Mr. Keenan, at the junior high level, did you have any investigations you had to do like that?
Yes, sir. And we would change the OSS coding to extenuating circumstances for safety purposes.
And how quick did you usually get on an investigation if it was a fight?
Sometimes it'd be that day. Sometimes the fights occur at the end of the day. We don't have time to talk to all the kids that we need to talk to.
So did you try to finish up the next day as far as investigation?
As soon as we could, absolutely. And if it's two separate statements, that's, if they both say the same thing, you know, there was kids that didn't get sent home at all because they both said, I just went up and attacked, you know, both sides of the story match, and so there's no disagreement.
You don't have to
When
go
there's
any
two different
further.
sides of the story, then I can't say this one's telling me the truth and this one's not. We have to investigate and try to find as many of the facts as we can.
Okay. I can see both sides of the story. I can see, Linda, what you're saying, that you'd like to be more descriptive, but I can see the other side, that if you are descriptive and you don't follow it, then there's issues with that. You know, it's hard to put a set blanket on something that could happen so many different ways or whatever it has to.
Well, if they're not gonna be suspended, they're gonna be kept on campus, I'll be happy for now, but I'm not gonna let it go if it keeps happening. If kids keep getting, innocent kids keep getting hurt, I'm not gonna let it go.
I would say the principals, definitely we want those done in a timely manner.
I don't understand about.
ASAP is timely, right this minute is timely.
I don't
We have
understand.
more than one administrator on every campus that could stop, someone could stop, assign a teacher to it, somebody. Get it done as fast as you can, it's important.
What do you mean people keep getting hurt?
Fighting and their reputation, kids don't know, they go, wow, so-and-so got kicked out of school, you know. They don't come back for the truth later and go, oh, well, she was innocent. I mean,
So you're saying
they
someone
do
could-
great, but typically they're kids, they just want to spread the rumor, you know?
Are you saying that someone's repeatedly just being beat up over and over and over? Because, I mean, that's a bullying situation. That's a whole different realm than to go get mad at lunch because someone
No,
said something could fight.
I think one person in particular was beat up at least twice. I think, unless the videos I saw were the same occasion. And then random people tell me that they've taken their kids out of our school because it's dangerous, because of the fighting. So, yeah, we gotta get on it. Whatever we have to do, we have to get on it.
Okay. So you want to make a motion to approve the code of conduct as presented?
I was thinking about voting against it, actually.
I'll make a motion, we approve it. Second by Ray, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Linda.
Okay. Approve the resolution, extracurricular status of 4-H organization. Mr. Miller?
Yes, sir. So what you have here is a resolution, and what this is to basically, what happens is they're asking that we resolve that 4-H organization earn extracurricular status. Meaning what comes with that is now they are held to the same standard, or they get to share the same benefits as our other extracurricular activities, meaning it's an excused absence for them. They have to follow, they're supposed to follow the same lines as our FFA kids follow UIO rules. So 4-H is supposed to do that, but what they're saying here, hey, we want you to declare us as an actual extracurricular activity for your district, and that we agree to do these things. At the same time, our kids will be allowed to be counted not absent or an excused absence or an extracurricular absence, which doesn't hurt their attendance. In other words, they're counted present for the day, which is good for us for attendance purposes. And basically, they just want to be treated. They're asking that they be treated like a regular extracurricular activity on campus. They're willing to say these are the people that are in charge. They're going to have these requirements. They're going to do these things if you will grant that permission to them. And actually, it's good because it benefits the kids too.
And 4-H is a separate
It's separate
organization.
from FFA,
Ours is
correct.
FFA, that's
Correct.
what we have here, this is outside.
Now, the
I know
thing
they
with-
show at the fair
Right,
and
the thing with
stuff.
FFA is you have to be in an ag class, 4-H. But sometimes kids, they want to do different things, but they still want to show animals. They just don't have the ability to be in an ag class during the school day.
So they could be in welding.
Yeah, they could
for
be
that,
but they
But
could
they
be.
want to go show a calf,
Right,
and that would be in the 4-H side of it.
Correct.
Rather than our FHB.
Welding is actually, depending on well, if it's ag mech, that's an FFA.
That's what I meant.
That would count, that would actually count. But if they were in band and dolls and athletics, and then they're 4 and they couldn't be in an FFA class, or an ag class, it would allow them to show under 4-H. They can show under 4-H.
Okay. It's not
And-
affiliated with,
Right.
it can be affiliated with FAA, but not necessarily has to.
Correct.
I'm with you now. Okay.
Do we have FHA still or no?
We have FCCLA, Family Consumer, I don't remember what it stands for off the top of my head, but it's the equivalent of Future Homemakers of America. FCCLA. They don't compete. I've been trying to get them to compete years ago. Last year, I asked y'all to approve $2,000 stipends for those CTE student organizations. But one of the requirements they've started them is that they have to compete. In other words, they have to go to at least one competition and compete every year. Which you see our FFA, they go to tons of competitions every year. Our entrepreneur kids there for a while, when Miss Bailey was in charge of it, was taking the kids to compete. We had a new guy last year, and I don't think he took them. I could be wrong. And then our CNA kids, they don't compete, but they're too busy. They're always doing rounds at the swim.
Any questions or comments on that? I make a motion, we approve the resolution, extracurricular status of 4-H organization.
I'll second.
Second by Jackie, all in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Next is the consideration and action to approve an agreement for the purchase of attendance credits, option 3 agreement, and to delegate contractual authority to the superintendent.
Julie, you want to explain?
Sure. So this year, we received notification, like a lot of the schools did, that we could be in a recapture situation because our attendance had dropped, but our property taxes had increased significantly. Mo Casey has done our calculation, and we are not going to be, but we still have to do all the paperwork. And basically, it's saying you're giving Mr. Galloway authority to do all that.
Long story short, what this is much like the years where our attendance has fallen short, and then the next year they overpaid us and we have to pay it back. More or less, this is the same thing that you're talking about, meaning we would write a check to the state for any money that we got on the payment.
And what?
If we fell into that.
Right, and the selection we picked was that they would just take it out of our summary of finance. But Mo Casey already did our calculation and said we will not be in a recapture.
So is this what happened 4 or 5 years ago when Jason was here? We were short that next year, and they took it out. We fell short that year.
Correct. More or less the same situation. What they're talking about here, the calculation would be different, right? We fell short because we didn't meet our attendance goals and
No, this is for 23, 24.
No,
Okay.
I understand. We said, right, we were gonna have an ADA of 3,000 and we only had an ADA of 2,800, right? And so we were way short and they took it out the next year. That was kind of our fault. This is the state saying the calculation's gonna make you do that. So it's a little different scenario, but it's the same concept.
Okay. I think I'm supposed to read this one?
Yes.
Am I supposed to read all that?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the motion?
That's the motion.
Hey.
You want me to read it?
You want to make this motion? For the year 23-24, for the 23-24 school year, we delegated contractual authority to obligate the school district under the Texas Educational Code, TEC 11.1511C4, to the superintendent solely for the purpose of obligating the district under TEC 48.257 and TEC Chapter 49, subchapters A and D, and the rules adopted by the Commissioner of Education as authorized under TEC 49.06. This included approval of the agreement for the purchase of attendance credits or the agreement for the purchase of attendance credits netting Chapter 48 funding. I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor? I vote against.
You read it again,
Yeah. All right. Okay, let's see. Action item, consent agenda, excuse me. Budget and donations, approved dual credit agreement between Greensport College and Columbia, Missouri Independent School District, and approved the Columbia High School Dancing Dolls out-of-state trip to New York City. We do have something on our desk. I guess everybody got it?
They did, is the,
For the,
I was kind of late getting the budget amendment in.
Julie's been on vacation and she drug her foot around.
I hadn't done it, so basically it's just showing the donations that we received from Media Academy. But the main thing is the bottom one where we're going to reimburse general fund for the construction costs that we've had so far of $2.5 million.
We're trying to get that out so that that money can draw interest in our general fund rather than in the bond fund, and we won't be subject to recapture on not that big, whatever that big word is they use for that fund.
The fees.
Yeah. So with that being explained, does anybody want anything pulled? If not, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Second by Matt, all in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Anything else we got for action items or anything we will do?
No, sir.
That's all on the agenda. We will adjourn to closed session pursuant to the Texas Government Code, the Opens Meeting Act, Section 551.074, to consider the employment of professional personnel, discuss the resignation and retirement of professional personnel, discuss performance personnel, superintendent and board goal setting for 23-24. Reconvene and open and consider actions on items discussed in closed session. Okay, so next month for recognitions, I heard that Jackie and Leah's going to do a presentation or a demonstration, which y'all did in Colorado. Would y'all run 175 miles a day or something like that? I mean, but I did see pictures that you posted, and there was blood running down both your legs, and you looked like you just came up with a spa. I mean, what happened here? Were you